Thank you and welcome to the Business Relationships Matter Network. And I'm delighted to introduce our spotlight speaker today, Sally A. Curtis of Monetize Your Content. Now, Sally's presentation is create it once, use it often. Sally's had 25 years of helping other experts turn ideas into profitable content, established a business in 2013, and speaks on brand consistency, increase trust and gain speed, turning your existing content into new profits, and president of the South Australian chapter of the Professional Speakers of Australia since 2020. And welcome, Sally, to the presentation today. Would you like to have access to sharing your screen?
I would love access to sharing my screen. Thank you very, very much.
Okay, you should be able to grab that now.
Beautiful. Let me, hold on. Oh, I've got to make sure you hit the right buttons. I'm having button issues. 2 secs. Try that again. It says host disabled still.
Okay.
Well, that's popping up. So what I envision I'm going to do today is I'm going to share some slides with everyone just to give you a bit of context. Then I'll give you some examples of how you can create something once and turn it into multiple things. And I'm going to zoom through it because I talk quickly anyway. But I'm keen to get to the end so I can actually open the floor and actually answer people's specific questions, because I find everybody else gains a lot of insights from other people's questions. Shall I try that again, Ross?
Okay, you've got it now, Sally, and you have approximately 10 to 12 minutes plus question and answer time. So I'll call out when it's 10 minutes. I won't put a clock up and distract you.
Okay, no problems. So as Ross said, I've had lots of experience working with expert speakers, coaches and consultants across many years. I was originally known as the bums on seats girl because I used to put bums on seats for Dale Beaumont KPI events and numerous other experts, both here in Australia and around the globe. The reason I talk about the create it once, use it often concept is because so many people I work with struggle with the consistency issue of being online. So I always like to talk about what the issues are so you can self-identify yourselves as to what's sort of getting in your way, because that awareness helps you pave a new way forward for yourselves. And I tend to work in the process of everything should be simple. We naturally, as humans, overcomplicate everything. So I'm sort of going to try and keep it relatively simple for you, which is why I want to be able to open the floor and get you to ask questions. So mainly the thing that gets in the way of consistency as a rule is, sorry, let me just click on that, is the overwhelm. Firstly, feeling like you don't have enough content to start with. So you're always sort of scrambling for ideas. The next thing that gets in the way is that lack of a strategic plan, how to plan your content out in advance to save yourself a whole lot of frustration, fatigue, sleepless nights, etc. And then the other thing that happens is when people get into the content creation mode, they then start to get content creation fatigue and they burn out and they get sick of creating content and they just can't work out how to build systems around that to make it sustainable, monetize it, and how to set 3 months up or 6 months or 12 months worth of content, etc. in advance. Some of the mindset blocks that get in the way, that, oh my God, where do I start? Often starts because you can't capture your ideas. You don't know, you don't have a system to capture the ideas to be able to leverage them later. And that Obsidian tool that Avon and I were talking about is a great option for that. The other thing is people just don't know how to leverage their content, again, because we've overcomplicated it versus creating a simple methodology for creating it and expanding on it. The other big thing that gets in the way is people are actually frightened. They have a whole lot of fear around giving their best stuff away. So as a result of not wanting to give it away, they don't give it away. But giving your best stuff away enables you to actually expand your inner genius and unpack your inner genius. So you've always got, ever evolving content to work with. And one of the easiest things to slip into when you don't have enough content that's value adding, that's educating your audience, and I've still experience this myself, and Kim and I have spoken about this, is that when you don't have enough to work with, or you're sort of running behind time, you can then tend to default to over promoting yourselves or putting content up. You know, I've got an event, and that creates icky feelings for all of us. So there's just a few things there that get in the way. Consistency on your social media platforms, as well as your networking, as well as your business development, is the secret to unlocking growth in any business. Particularly when you show up online, your audience feel that they can then trust you, and trust, as Ross would tell us, is the foundation of every sale. So I believe consistency is one of the greatest differentiators of all. And this is my biggest Sally nag ever. So you're just about to get the big Sally nag. To explain that around consistency, I was lucky enough to work with News Corp for a number of years in their sales events. So I was one of their speakers for their sales events. And this was one of their slides, which we utilized and talked about how their clients using print media back then were inconsistent as well. But it's a really great visual, and it's absolutely relevant of exactly what happens on social media as it relates to content marketing and putting yourself out there as an expert. And what the biggest issue around this is, which is why I want to share this, is when you are inconsistent, you're actually funding your competitors' marketing. So let me repeat that. When you are inconsistent, you are funding your competitors' marketing efforts. And let me explain why. So, for example, let me flick to the next one. This is what generally happens is we've got content, we're doing our content, we've got content going out on social media, it's all really easy, so it's going up this hill. Then all of a sudden we get, because of our content and talking to people and our networking, we get busy, and then we have a oh shit moment, and we get busy and it slides off the scale. Then we hit down the bottom here and we go, oh my God, I need to go and get some more clients. So we get consistent again, we start doing promotions, we start doing social media again, and we start climbing up here. We get to the top, we bring on new clients, and we slip off again. So this roller coaster ride, which lots of entrepreneurs are also familiar with, the roller coaster ride of revenue, also relates to the inconsistencies of that, all or nothing approach. But what's happening in here is in these gaps, you're actually funding your competitors. And that's the bit that I want everyone to sort of understand. When you suddenly disappear, so you're down in this bit here, you've actually attracted a new audience. Your audience is following you. They're curious. They're consuming your content. They're wanting more. And then all of a sudden, you're no longer there. So first thing is you've broken trust. The second thing is because you've disappeared and they're hungry for your keyword, your key topics and your content and your expertise, when you're not there, that warmed up audience has to go and find somebody else because you're not there anymore. So you've warmed up all of these people for the next expert that comes along. So I really just wanted to point out that the major cost of inconsistency is that you're leaving people that are hungry on the shelf for somebody else to pick up. Okay, Sally Nag done. Thank you. So what I'd like to share now with you is the simple solution of what we use, which is creating bite-sized content. And I discovered this by working with the likes of Dale Beaumont's and those great speakers, because what helped me fill their events so successfully was because they provided me with lots of bite-sized content that I shared across my platforms to promote them. But those people that were consuming it were warmed up when they then arrived at the event. So the conversion rates at the events were also were very much more significant. So what I want to do now is very quickly show you what bite-sized content is. In simple terms, it's small, it's easy to consume, it's visually compelling, it can tell a story, it can educate, it can inspire, But when it's choreographed well across across a calendar plan based on what you're selling into and your events, etc., it actually leads them. It creates a customer journey which leads them to what it is you're promoting or selling, etc. And these examples here are just some of Bridget's. Bridget is a book author that works with authors who've had traumatic backgrounds, so that trauma to triumph. And you can see here we've just created some bite-sized little video snippets, kept them all well branded. Everything's got, you know, key branding elements. So she's a highly recognizable brand, which again builds trust, just like Apple and Nike do. And she's got her, you know, logos, etc. In there, but everything is consistent. Even though it looks quite different, it's still compelling as a highly recognizable brand. And that's gives you a few more ideas here with Nancy. I call these tiles. So if you hear me talk about tiles as we move through, a tile is basically like a graphic postcard which people can use on social media. You've no doubt seen them all before. Lots of people use tiles, etc., on social media, and you can also turn these tiles, etc., into videos as well. Most of them are square, just so you've got the context, because the Instagram square tends to work on most platforms, and it just is the easiest type of content for us to create at scale. Can I just get a bit of a wave? Does everyone know or use or understand Canva? Yep, cool. So I've spoken to a few audiences and they didn't know what Canva was. So that's good that we're all on the right track. So it's the easiest for us to create at scale. So let's talk about this create once and use it often, because it's the greatest way to save yourself a whole lot of time. Click to the next one. So here's one example of where we've taken a book. So Carolyn had eight pages in Carolyn's case. She was in a multi-author book. You can see here I've gone through the 8 pages and I've highlighted things. I've scribbled on the pages. But by doing that from 8 pages, we were able to find sort of 2 to 3 months worth of content. So we were able to create tiles and videos for Carolyn. Also within those 8 pages, I actually found a lead magnet opportunity. So we started to be able to monetize those 8 pages so she could build her list. And we just turned that into like an infographic that you can see here. So these are examples of what's possible when you start to look at your one piece of content and see the opportunities within it. What we've also done there is she'd also had a bullet point of a list. And anything that's got a list or step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 type scenarios can be very easily turned into a course of some form, whether that's a free course that you give away or a low course that you give away. It's a great way to expand that one piece of content into lots of other opportunities. And to give you some context of what that looks like, the first thing is most people overcomplicate looking at their book or their article, and they start by reading it. That's the last thing you do. You never read it. You look for what jumps off the page. So dot points jump off the page, highlighted dot points, steps jump off the page, and you just look at highlighting those to find your content. So don't overcomplicate it. When you don't overcomplicate it, you can create really simple bite-sized tiles like we've just done here, visuals that are eye candy. But what they're doing is they're keeping your audience engaged and on following along in that customer journey with you. Another quick one as I go with time. This is one of mine. This is where we've taken an article that was a tips article, and that I had 20 tips. So I turned that article into a 20 tip checklist, which I used as a lead magnet to build my list. We then turned those 20 tips into content tiles, and then we turned those content tiles into a visual ebook. Again, so one piece of content turned into lots of others, just to give you a bit more of a visual perspective of that. That was what the checklist looked like. So it was just a 1-page download with, 20 tips on it. But we then turned them into a visual representation, so imagery in tiles here through here. and then we turned those tiles into pages and content for an ebook, which also then became a downloadable. For those that are in the podcast and video space, or are being interviewed, or have client meetings, etc., that they all make really, really great content that you can turn into bite-sized pieces. So this is just an example of where I was interviewed for a podcast. So we've got the full asset there, and then we've gone through, I was interviewed by Prosper, and then we've gone through and we actually turned it into about 20 different bite-sized pieces of content that we can then use on social media there as well. Again, the trick of not overcomplicating this, because most people will try to edit the video or the audio, print off the transcription and use the don't look at it, just see what jumps off the page and highlight those spots. So the create it once methodology and the simplicity actually comes from using it in the written form, not in the video or the audio form. So there's a little pro tip for you, the easiest way to generate bite-sized contents through print scenarios as well.
Sally, if you could maybe just start wrapping up.
Yep. So there's my speed run. I'm happy to just open the floor for whatever time we've got left, just to answer any key questions people have, because I do find that is much more helpful. Let me stop sharing.
Anybody want to ask Sally some questions out of that? We've got about 8 minutes to go, so no problem. Please ask a question.
Yeah, I got one. Thanks, Sally. That's great. Sorry, I'm in the kitchen at the moment. I've got the cook coming backwards and forwards, so I hope she doesn't distract you. Yeah, so what with clients that you're working with now, is it main on the social platforms? Is it mainly LinkedIn or is it Facebook? Where are you getting most of the interest from, or what platforms are mostly used?
Mostly LinkedIn and Instagram and YouTube.
Oh, Instagram. Yeah. Instagram good because it's such a visual medium, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. And it's high consumption. So that's again why the bite-sized pieces come into play there, and the videos that we create. So the long form videos we create with the Instagram square, so they can be played as stories and as the main feed.
Yeah, right. You get clients reporting good results from these types of posts in terms of engagement and maybe even leads.
Yeah, a lot of part of what we do is actually generate a 90-day plan based on what they're selling into and promoting. So we help them choreograph the content so they've got that, the opportunity to lead them to what they are going. So as long as they're consistent and they're doing the, speaking to clients and actually talking to people, yes, they do get good results.
Oh, that.
So
I'll speak to clients. My God.
Thank you, Kim. Is Sandra?
Yeah, I just wondered how you go when people might already have, like, say, someone helping with their marketing. Maybe someone like Anthony is already doing all their podcasting or whatever, and then kind of working together. Do you find you get a lot of crossover or sort of creative?
I'm going to say yes, but no. So a lot of the people we work with have virtual assistants. A lot of the bigger the bigger clients we work with actually have marketing agencies and marketing teams. So we work collaboratively, in the way that I explain what we do in that scenario is they do the overarching marketing stuff. We do the consistency piece. And we do the lead generation and then the nurture and client loyalty stuff for the bigger clients, depending on what we're doing as well. We do a lot of work with newbies, people that have got new virtual assistants, because we find from our experience, a lot of virtual assistants, will do 10 hours a week, and that's what they need to create social media content for the month. They need 10 hours every week to do that. And it's sort of like that whole month should be done in like 4 hours, what's going on. So we help and work with a lot of clients to help them move from a project-based methodology to a production line methodology, which just saves a lot of time. So we work very collaboratively with our clients to create speed and efficiency.
Nice. Yeah, really nice. Thank you.
Welcome.
Anna.
Yeah, 2 questions. One, when you say consistently, is that every single day for the
Right.
rest of our lives, basically? And the other thing is, if you do that, but you're still not getting, or you don't think you're getting people looking and stuff, how can you then change that?
Brilliant question. Waiting for someone to answer that. Your consistency rhythm is determined by, firstly, the lifestyle that you want as a business owner, and secondly, the rate and where your audience shows up and the volume in which they consume stuff. So I post every day. I've got a team that do it, makes it easier. On average, most of my clients post 3 times a week. I have some significant clients that post once a month, but they know when their audience is online and they know what their audience is looking for.
Right.
And then secondly, as it comes to, there is, I'm going to say, thousands and thousands more people looking at your stuff than you think they are. They're just the cyber stalkers that don't interact. But they're the ones that will come to you in 2 years' time and say, I've been following you for the last 2 years. You've got no clue who they are because they've never actually mentioned it. So if you Google something called Dunbar's numbers, it talks about that, we've got the close circle around us. We've then got the followers that we know about, and then we've got this next bunch further out. There's a whole lot of next bunch, and it's those ones that you're warming up that'll get closer to the inner circle. But social media and posting stuff on social media alone will not make you successful. Posting and then having conversations and talking to people in DM and moving them from social media to speaking to you is where the success comes in.
Okay. One last question. Anybody a last question? Anna Richardson.
Just with the posting, is there a specific time that we should be posting from Australia? Like, is there a more suitable time? Should it be like mornings or afternoons, or is it dependent on the area that you're in, your people? Is it?
I feel that there's lots of areas that come into play. So first off, what's the right time to post? What country do you serve, or countries do you serve? So, that's a hard question for me because I serve the US, UK, and Australia. So that answer is very different. Get to understand your audience. When are they online? Is it morning, which for me is more the case on LinkedIn? Is it evening, which is more the case for me in Instagram? So it's working out what platform and when they are. The way we go about testing that is we do post 7 days a week, and we test it to see where we get the most interaction. So testing it and seeing is going to be your best option. And and a great way to understand that is find somebody that's a guru or an expert in your field, in the coaching field that you said that you were in, and see when they're doing it and mirror off some of their successes of when they're posting and what times they're posting. So there's always somebody more successful than us that we can find, and we can mirror what they're doing to give us and to shorten the cycle of our learning.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody, for contributing. And Sally, thank you so much for coming along today and doing that presentation. That was really insightful. I love that. Inconsistent posting funds your competitors. Just love that. It just really makes it up. And the bite size down to a tile, and then the way you did the checklist out of that down into up to tiles to a page to an ebook that's fantastic. So thank you very much for taking the time to come along today, and love to have you come back anytime to have a chat. And people, please make contact and link with Sally on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook. She's there everywhere.
Thank you very much. Absolute pleasure. Great questions, everyone. Made my day. Thank you.